I want to talk a little bit about task lighting. Stick with me and I'll show you which one I use almost every day and which one I think is best. All right, so the bench light that I think works best is the battery operated Ryobi or Ryobi, however you want to call it, light. Now they make a lot of different lights, but this is the one that I've found works the best for woodworking and woodworking on the bench. I have some others made by Ryobi and they're good. I've used them for different things, but this one is so versatile and it's just perfect for what we do. This extends all the way up and it has 3 different lights. The first one is full on. The second one is the lower, and the third one is the top. And then you click it again and it goes off. So you have to go through the thing. What's nice about this is you can, say you have your vise here and you're doing dovetails, you can put this and bend it down a little bit and you can have light right at the source. I have good lighting in the shop. I have LED strips all the way across the ceiling, but task lighting is really important. And I've found that as I've gotten older, my eyes have gotten older, it's become more important. I use this almost every day. It's like one of my top tools, believe it or not. And this is, you would think as much as I'm carrying on about this that it's a sponsored video. It's not. I'm just one beggar showing another beggar where the bread is. It just works. So if you don't have one of these, you should consider it because you'll find that you use it for all kinds of stuff. When I'm carving, I can set it down and I can cast a shadow over what I'm carving and I can see it from different perspectives. There's just so many uses. Now this also will hang. Let me shut it off here. This will also hang different ways. It's got all kinds of different clips. And if you're really interested in that part of it, you can look at their promotional videos and stuff like that. But you can hang this thing. But what I found is very stable. It works great just sitting on the bench, and then I can maneuver it where I want it to be. All right, so as much as I love this light, I decided I want 2 of them. So I went on to Amazon and I started looking for another one. Well, in the process of looking, I found an off-brand that looked like it had even more possibilities. And it does. Let me show it to you. I'll put a picture of it so you can see it, and I'll put a link below for this one and the regular Ryobi. They both use the same Ryobi +1 battery, which is great. And this one just has some features that the first one doesn't have. Essentially, they've made it better. So this one has a USB port that the first one does not. It has a clip here. And let me show you a picture of just one of the things you can do with it, attached to my bandsaw to give a little extra light. Now, if you're uncomfortable attaching it to the actual table of the bandsaw, you can actually put it on a stand and hang it. It's one of the ways you can do it. You can hang it on any kind of stand that you have in the shop, away from it. If it gets in the way, the wood is too big or whatever. So there's just a lot of flexibility. This one on lumens supposedly doubles this one. This one's just under 1,000. This one's like at 2,400, and it does seem noticeably brighter. That could be a good thing or a bad thing depending on your usage. It's a good thing as far as I'm concerned. So I really like this. It really meets my needs on the workbench and when I'm doing other tasks. I live in Florida where we have a lot of hurricanes, so I like a lot of different battery operated lights because we lose electricity, and you know, who wants to live in the dark, right? So there's one other thing I want to show you. When it comes to Ryobi tools, I have a lot of DeWalt batteries. I have a lot of DeWalt tools, a lot of DeWalt batteries. Well, they make an adapter that goes in to your Ryobi tool that you can use your DeWalt battery on, which is very, very handy and convenient. So I'll put a link below. You can see it and just show you it does work. So, oh, one other thing I wanted to mention about this. With the first one, you have to cycle through each light. There's the first one, second one, third one. It'll go right back to 2 again. If you want to turn it off, you just long press and it's off. So if you want it off at one of the other parts of it, you don't have to cycle through the whole thing, which is kind of nice, actually. So that's an advantage. So anyway, it's just a useful, really useful tool. Again, I use it every day with everything that I'm doing on the bench and in the machine room. I found ways to put it where I have really good lighting, and I have good lighting in there as well, but the extra lighting really helps out a lot. All right, so if you're interested in the police story, stick with me. All right, so here's another police story. This guy that's working for a landscape business decides on a Friday that he's going to go into the bank and cash his check during lunchtime. So he goes into the bank and he's standing there in line to go to the bank teller. So he's standing there waiting in line thinking, okay, can I get my check cashed in time where I can get a sandwich, eat lunch, and be back in time? So while he's standing there, he gets a little bored, and there's a guy in front of him, and he's standing there holding a piece of paper in his hand. So with nothing else to do, he leisurely looks down at the paper and starts reading it. Well, as it turns out, it's a demand note for money at the bank. So it's obvious he's going to rob the bank. Now, you can rob a bank by going in guns blazing, take over everything, or, which is as often, is they go in kind of smooth, not trying to disrupt anything, not trying to draw attention, and they just try and furtively, secretly hand the note over to the teller with something like, give me all the money in the drawer, or else I will shoot you, I have a gun, or I will set off a bomb, or I will kill your mama, or whatever, right? So anyway, this kid, seeing this piece of paper in the guy's hand, He gets out of line and he walks over to another bank employee at the desk and he says, "This is bad news, but I have to tell you, you're about to get robbed." Well, the lady says, "What do you mean?" And he goes, "That guy," and he provides a description, "waiting in line, has a note to rob the bank." So, of course, she gets on the phone and she calls the sheriff's office, right? I get the call with the description of the guy and I'm on my way. During my travel time, he finally gets to his turn at the teller and he does rob the bank. So by the time he finishes robbing the bank, he's coming out of the bank. He's taking a few steps out the door, and I pull in the parking lot. Well, obviously, he didn't think about plan B. I'm sure he thought everything was going well. As it turns out, he had robbed a few times before, and that's normally how you get caught. You can continue to do it until you get caught. But anyway, he sees me coming into the parking lot, and it's like, oh no, what do I do? So he freaks out, and he starts running. Not to where he parked his car, where he could probably get away. He doesn't really know what to do, so he runs across a major highway trying to get away. Well, back then, I was in pretty decent shape. So I take off after him, right? He runs across the street to a commercial center, and there's a liquor store there. So he runs in the liquor store, and I lose sight of him. So I keep running. I get to the liquor store. I pull the door open. There's the sales clerk there, or the owner, I don't know. He's standing there looking confused because this guy just ran in. And he looks at me and he points in the direction of the bathroom. So I go over there and at gunpoint, because I don't know whether he does have a gun or not, whether he's armed, what he has, at gunpoint, I get him. Now, here's this guy. He thinks he's being smart. He gets into one of the stalls and he stands up on the toilet thinking that, like, I'm just going to look for feet underneath there and not open up the doors or whatever. So it's kind of another dumb crook story. But anyway, I arrest him. I walk him back. Well, at every bank robbery, the FBI shows up. And oftentimes, the bank themselves have their own security. Well, within time, the bank's own security shows up and the FBI, and we're standing there talking and we're kind of chuckling about how this guy went about robbing the bank and how foolish it was. And the guy with the security says, "Well, I've got one even better. In Orlando, we had a guy come into the bank and he actually wrote the demand note on the back of his deposit slip." So, there's all kinds. I often wonder sometimes whether these people want to be caught. So anyway, it's just one story that actually worked out for the good guys. And we'll see you on the next one. All right? You guys take care.